Hi everybody, Todd Dammit Kerns here. Today brought to you by our good friends at Clocks and Colors. Amazing jewelry company out of Canada with some great stuff. Today, honored to have one of my heroes as a bass player, as a vocalist. You know him from back in Deep Purple, Black Country Communion. He is currently with the Dead Daisies. Ladies and gentlemen, my hero, Glenn Hughes.
To play without a bass, I do it with Slash and Duff and the guys in Kings of Chaos and Matt and Gilby and Miles.
Yeah, Miles is there.
Me and Miles do a song together. Yeah, it's okay. Do I want to do it all night? I don't think so. I'd rather play bass and sing.
I think that's really cool. I think that's really cool to hear because, in all the years that Sting has been a solo artist, I every time he would come back around, I go, "It's pretty cool that he's still playing the bass." I go, "That's
he's great. It's again, it's not the notes he's playing; it's the notes he's not playing."
Yeah, exactly. And I guess you have to say to yourself, "Well, he probably is like all of us probably started as bass players or whatever you play."
Yeah,
as a singer, was it sort of like starting as a guitar player? Was the singing thing just sort of like you just started playing with the guys, and the next thing you knew, you just sang a couple songs, and they said, "Hey, Glenn, you sing the songs."
In my first couple of school bands, I was not a singer. I was a guitar player. I didn't want to sing.
No,
Todd, I didn't. I was 15.
Me neither.
The singer of the band had to go on holiday with his mom and dad, and there was like 5 gigs that they asked me if I would sing, and I said, "Okay, if you like it." So my dad drove me to these venues, and I sang Route 66, and some Beatles songs and early 60s stuff, And what I thought the songs were writing, "I'm a King Bee" and "Little Red Rooster," I thought they didn't write those songs.
Right.
So I'm thinking I learned the blues from the Stones, who learned it from America.
Yeah, sure.
But again, for me to sing, that was the band called the Intruders, and there was the Hookerleys after John Lee Hooker, playing guitar. And then I was in a band called the Mail, MAIL.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
I was a kind of a second singer, and then Finders Keepers, I was one of 5 singers. So that's 5 or 6 bands now already. I wasn't singing lead. Then Trapeze started, and there was 5 members of the band. I was not lead singer. I was like a second singer, like I was in kind of Deep Purple, kind of David. But and then the band, the management of the band figured in Trapeze that they had a meeting one day when I wasn't there. They thought, well, maybe Glenn should be the singer. I was starting to get that voice that people know about now.
Right.
So grateful. I mean, they pushed. I never started this to become a singer.
Right.
I never started this to become a lead singer. And I think, as you, Todd, you're very versed in this. If you try so hard, if you push so hard, it's never going to happen. You just have to breathe and let it go. And hopefully, the great one will hear you. And again, I know my life's purpose is to write music and help others. It really, because I know that I don't write about anything that's not in between my ears. I don't write about fictional things at all. I write about what's happened to me. That's probably going to happen to all of us,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Part of being the messenger.
It's interesting too, because I when I look at my own life, and I lately have started to go like, would I have been happier had I started a band or joined a band at 20 years old, like the Who or whatever like that, where it's sort of like that's what you do your whole life. You're in this band, the Rolling Stones, whatever it is, your whole life. So guys like you, and I, mine pales in comparison, but it's the same thing. It's like from this year to that year, I was this. From 4 years, I was this. 5 years, I was that. And it's sort of like, and I always kind of think of like, I always go, well, it's kind of like Neil Young. I go, well, I can play. I look at his like career and I go, there's no way you could kind of say. He's done acoustic things. He's done very loud things with Crazy Horse, and there's sort of like this sort of ability to kind of weave in and out of a bunch of things. Where I thought about you as I looked at your your long sort of resume when you really think about it. And I think,
Long.
is there anything in your life where you think to yourself, I wish this one thing would have stayed longer, and it would have been like now you'd still be doing that same thing? Because it's interesting to me that
Oh my God.
you like to in the later on, things like Black Country Communion, California Breed, Dead Daisies, these things present themselves, and you're like, wow, and you're doing some of your best work now than you've ever, in a lot of ways, ever done, you know.
Oh my God, let me tell you. Again, I'm going to go back to the beginning. I was 18 in Trapeze until I was 21. Again, all that work, you know, all that hard work as teenagers. I was a teenager. To having no problem moving stuff around, and you know, just to be in America and work this country to the bone. Paving the way for what would later become the Deep Purple asked me if I'd like to join. You know, this is going to probably be a thing here that I should have stayed in Trapeze. I should never have left the band. Only because the band were about to crack America.
Interesting.
ZZ Top and Trapeze were mates. We were both on London Records, and we were like head to head, you know. And they made it right in 73, 74. And Trapeze were just about to crack America. And then I got this called Smoke on the Water. It was like the #1 record. They were so popular. And I said to myself, what do I do now? Because I don't want to leave my friends. They're my brothers. They're my soul source. These guys are everything to me. You know? And it was a difficult situation to leave, to join a band that was more classic rock. And Trapeze were everything. They were rock, hard rock, funky, everything. It was acoustic, everything. I think a lot of people know that I should have stayed the course, you know. You know, I had no problem sharing the mic with David. We had a lovely relationship, and still do. Can you imagine he and I at this castle in England doing the Burn stuff in rehearsal? It was like, oh no, I insist after you. Oh no, you take the mic. No, sir, you, darling, you take the mics. No, it was a case of, you know, you do that line, and if you again, Todd, listen to Burn, and you can kind of feel that thing there that was back and forth. You back and forth. And I did a thing with David last week for you got a show coming out. About the love we had for each other as humans, and the love we share, because we have the same vibrato. A quick, great story for you. He was auditioning in London. It was July 73. I'd been in the band for a couple of months. We'd been playing cover songs, and the band wanted to take a break, and I said to David, stay here. Well, you know, he had some whiskey or something. I don't know what it was. He'll tell you sometime. So he sat down at the piano. We started to play these chords, which I love, you know, major sevens. And we started singing this thing, and our vibratos were like perfect.
Wow.
It was like married to one another, which you can hear all over Burn. And so when the guys came back, we sang them this piece we'd be writing, and it was a beautiful thing for me to be with him in that moment, because he was so goddamn nervous. I'm sorry, I spoke the word God naughtily. No, he was nervous, and we fell in love with each other at that moment. I think we've never had a bad word for one another. I just love him dearly.
Because he didn't nearly have the background you had, did he? He was sort of unknown kid, really.
No, he had never really been on a theater stage. I don't think so. I think he was in a band that no one had really. I say this with respect. I don't think David had any stage work, if you will. Not the guy we know now.
Right. Yeah. He went on to be a rock god. You know, I mean. Like
I mean, you know, I watched him grow insanely. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
But what we had in Purple, I think a few people thought they're fighting with each other. No, we're not. We're not.
Right.
There's a lot of love for us. I just love him dearly.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird looking back on it now, because, well, it's interesting to me on another note, because I always think to myself, you know, by the time I became into music, it was all omnipresent. Burn was as in the same breath of Machine Head as everything else, you know.
Yeah.
But I just can't imagine being a kid and going like, because, you know, anytime there's a major lineup change,
Yeah.
your initial thoughts are like, well, that's that. What's gonna, you know, it's like Ian was Ian, and but I can't imagine the kid getting that record, Burn, pulling it out, putting the needle down, and just going like,
yeah,
whoa, these guys. There's nothing better than when a band has something to prove, I think, sometimes.
Well, you know, that album was written at Clearwell Castle. If you want to Google it, Clearwell Castle is in Gloucestershire, England. We rented it out for Burn and Stormbringer before we went to Musicland in Germany to make the albums.
Mm-hmm.
We went into Richie. You know, when I joined the band, Richie had me come over his house and he played me the music to Mistreated.
Okay.
We're in his kitchen and there's two guitars and he sat me down and he said, I want to play you something. And he started playing, you know, I'm going, okay. I can hear what I was going to play on the bass. Again, it was James, I'm going, okay, I'm home.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to sing it. So I said, I can live with this, you know.
Sure, yeah.
So, and so that was the only song, maybe one of the songs that was kind of Richie come up with, but we didn't have an opening track. We didn't have one.
Okay.
Richie, we went to the pub. It was the last day or last evening we were going to be there, and Richie said, oh, "What about writing a song about called Burn? What about Burn?" So we went back in there after a couple of beverages, and
so the title comes up before the riff or anything.
Yeah, it's the only time it's ever really happened where Blackmore suggested Burn, and we started creating that. You know, the Bach influenced keyboard solo. It's an Ian Pace masterclass. And David, you know, I took that bridge. I wrote that bridge section. It's very Glenn. It took it away from. I think it was the what David is and what I am. It blended nicely because that voice I have is different to what he had.
Totally,
I love his voice. So, for people have been hearing Highway Star, and all of a sudden they're going to go, okay, let's listen to this song called Burn. I guess it ticked the boxes.
I think it more than ticked the boxes, because it's like, even as like heavy metal kids in the 80s, finding Burn was like, it stood toe to toe with anything else that we were listening to. Do you know what I mean? And that, I mean, not that it was metal, but it was just very, very aggressive, very to the point. And like you say, that bridge section, the fact that it happens twice like a Beatles song, I think is very clever. It just really takes it somewhere else, you know. And I think at the time we were probably too young to have deduced that these are two different singers singing these sections, but it really does, in a lot of ways, it's sort of established within one song. It was sort of like, that's what these guys are. These two guys can sort of like, you know, if you got David and he's kicking ass, and then all of a sudden, oh, who's this now? It's like the door bursts open. And
I mean, I had letters from people even to this day. Is that you singing on You Know We Had No Time?
Yeah, right.
Not a lot of people, but a few people think that David's singing everything.
Right.
And I chuckle because I'm not angry at all, because I'm going, okay, maybe I can tell them the real deal. You know, if they don't know, I'll gladly tell you.
Yeah.
Again, it's coming from the, you know, when we had that moment in London where David was doing his thing for the band and we were playing these chords, it was a really subtle R&B flavor. It was not a Deep Purple sounding song. It was what we do, you know, as singers. We, you know, that togetherness. And it was a moment that I'll never forget. It was a glorious moment for me and him, apparently. So
I'm sure. Well, it's interesting that, just really quickly, it's funny because when you brought up Ian Pace is one of those guys, when they talk about classic great rock drummers, he gets overlooked time and again. And I always say, how is Ian Pace not? Because what I always think is interesting, like the Bonhams and the Pace and those first generation, like hard rock drummers, all came up in the original wave of rock and roll. They have jazz chops, and they were the guys who created heavy drumming because they just were playing loud ass drums. Right. And I think Ian Pace is like, he should be mentioned in the same breath with all those guys I just said, the John Bonhams. And
well, you know, Ian was a Louis Belson and Buddy Rich fanatic, and
right.
I moved him with him when I joined the band for 6 months. We were living in London together, and he had me stay at his house, and you know we spent a lot of time playing together.
Sure, yeah.
I worked with Ian for 3.5 years, and he wore 4-inch heels every gig. Well, a lot of people wouldn't have done that.
No.
I don't think he ever, and this is I'm glorifying it. I never heard Ian Pace make a mistake.
No, I can't.
And by the way, Todd, I'm not looking for mistakes. And if there are mistakes, I'll chuckle and carry on.
Sure, yeah.
But Ian was a studious drummer. I was surrounded by the genius. That's a difficult word to say about anybody.
Sure.
Genius, but the quality of Blackmore and Lord, and then Pace behind that.
Yeah, it's like
you got Richie, and you're younger than me, Todd, but in that period, Richie in 73 through 75, it was definitely Jimmy Page and Blackmore and Iommi.
Yeah,
those three in that period of time. Those three guys were. When Blackmore was great, he was beyond great. He was beyond great.
Yeah.
And then with John, who I did spend a lot of time with John, who was an absolutely phenomenal keyboard player. I mean, and educated like nobody's business. He was so educated.
Yeah.
So to play in between these two fellas and have that dude behind with his 4-inch heels on.
Yeah.
It's all, let's be clear, it's all about the heels, isn't it?
Yeah.
I had the heels as well. But,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, it was, again, it wasn't Trapeze, which was very organic and groovy.
Yeah.
It was not technical at all.
Right.
And then to be in a band of virtuosos was a little different for me. But I'm there in the middle going, I'll find something to this.
Which is the interesting position of being the bass players. I've always sort of used it as sort of the ambassador between the guitar, and I suppose the keyboards falls in that area as well. You're the ambassador between the guitars and the drums. You're playing notes, but you're also playing rhythm, you're also playing groove, and you're kind of in the middle of it all. And I think people kind of forget that without that guy in the middle to kind of bring it all together, it really is kind of a weird thing.
As you know, Todd, Purple we jammed a lot. The songs are extended, and I was really seriously having to listen to not so much Richie because he dropped out a lot, but
right.
Lordy and Pacey were carrying that thing because Lordy played the left hand like a rhythm guitar player. He was so incredible.
Yeah.
So we really branched. I got to learn so much from that groove with him and Ian. It was phenomenal.
Right.
Again, it wasn't what I was playing. It was sometimes what I wasn't playing.
Sure.
Which I'm not a bass player that follows every riff on the guitar. It's not me. It's not me. Unless it's really heavy, then you have to do that.
Right.
But that school of Deep Purple and the school of Sabbath is so iconic.
Yeah.
That you have to find yourself in that groove. You have to be there, and you have to live it, breathe it. And for me, it was all truly remarkable.
It's so brief too. Like when I look back at I had to go look at your life, and I thought to myself, man, it happened so fast that what they now refer to as Mach 3 and Mach 4, and we just called it Deep Purple. I mean, I don't know why
me too.
They start splitting it into these sections, and I go, but it happens so fast. I think probably 4 or 5 years at most. It's sort of like you're sort of being in the group up until. I mean, Tommy, that's an amazing chapter, and that whole thing, and it just goes by so fast. It's just crazy.
It was Bern and Stormbringer, and then Richie, wanted to leave, and then we had auditioned 2 people. We auditioned Clem Clemson from Humble Pie, great guitar player.
Yeah.
And I say this, and I've said it before. I don't say it a lot, but we were looking for the X factor. I hate that word X factor. We were looking for that sort of Blackmoreism or something with a huge personality.
Yeah.
When Clem didn't get the gig, there was only one other guy, and that was Tommy. And I didn't have a clue what he looked like.
Right.
Not a clue.
Interesting. So you only knew him by his playing.
Yeah, and I walked into SIR. And I saw a guy with green, purple, and orange hair. I walked up to him and said, "If you don't get the gig, you're still coming home with me." He got the gig like, when somebody puts a strap on the guitar, you go, "Oh, he's going to..." The way he put his strap on, I'm going, he's got the gig.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the sandals as well. He's got purple sandals on.
Yeah.
He's got the gig, hasn't he? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's that's such an iconic chapter too. I mean, to have been involved in so many iconic things, it's got to be such a wonderful feeling. I can't
Yeah,
imagine. And
it
then
was.
so at what point do you find yourself in America, or do you physically like I am moving to America, or is it more like you kind of
Well,
put down
I
some
had
roots and then stayed?
I fell in love with America in December 1970. As you know, I spoke to you
Uh-huh.
about that. The 17 shows in 20 days. Knowing the overall vibe for me as a young man,
Mm-hmm.
18 years old, 19 years old. This is where I would love to live. If
Yeah.
I had if I had the be all, if I had the chance
Sure.
to do it,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so when I joined Purple in '73, we were traveling a lot. And I don't know if you know, but in 1975, we changed prime ministers. And for those who were making money, the tax bracket was 85 to 90%. So
Right. Is that when the
we,
Stones are like south of
yeah,
France? And
we all,
yeah.
Elton was the only one that stayed. Because I was in the band now, I had to have 2 places to live, except England. So I got a place in Rome, and we all got places in LA.
Wow. Okay.
All of
Wow.
us, yeah.
That's so crazy because it's especially back then. I mean, LA must have just been Wonderland or something.
It was, it was, we didn't. I mean, I didn't really go out much because couldn't really. So I stayed home, and it was a great. LA's my home. I've been,
Yeah.
I've been through it all here.
Yeah, you're more a Los Angelian than you are English now at this point. Yeah, you've been there longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think everybody knows that. Again, I'm grateful. I just believe I was born to be here. Past life experience. If you will, I just, this is where, I love America. It's not just Los Angeles.
Yeah, yeah.
I love America, Americans, and Americana.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Regardless of what's going on right now in the politics, I don't want to talk about that. I love this country. I'm a citizen now.
Yeah.
And I'm married to an amazing lady. So this is where I'm going to stay.
Well, there's a great Bob Dylan line that I'm paraphrasing, but it is something like, I was born a long way from where I belong, or something. I can't remember exactly the line. But it's such a beautiful line because I feel the same way. And in a weird way, when you tour and you've traveled, the world becomes so much smaller in its own way. It's like, if I go sit on this airplane and watch Mrs. Doubtfire and a few things, I'll suddenly be in Australia, and like,
yeah.
And it really, and you make friends in South America and Japan, and you just, and the world just seems, I mean, it seems infinitely bigger, but at the same time, it sort of brings it all together. And when you've sort of lived in this sort of much larger world, how things work there, how things work here, and you kind of have a sense of different things. But that's just from traveling and playing music all over the planet, because they keep telling you rock and roll is dead, and then guys like you and me are out playing, well, it's alive in Australia, let's go to Japan, well, it's alive here too, and you go around the world, and you're like, it seems to be just fine. I don't know what everybody's talking about. But that's the nature of the thing.
I travel. I mean, I know you love to travel too. It's I miss it. I mean, we're just hanging on here,
I know. Well, and I'm sort of, what are your thoughts on all this? Because I think it's really going to create a very interesting traffic jam, a good traffic jam, when music does return. Everybody's creating, everybody's, and I think that no one really took it for granted. No, none of us have taken it for granted that we get to go play music. And I think the people who love to go and watch live shows, they don't take it for granted. Just no one could have foreseen something this insane happening.
No, and for me, with the Dead Daisies, I say this with respect.
Sure.
We are a tour booked for February, and everybody's going, oh, I'm going too, because we're booked, and it's all year long, and a lot of our friends, mutual friends, are not doing anything to 2022.
Yeah, I know, crazy.
So I don't know. I'm just waiting to figure out what the reality is. Right now, we're supposed to start in Essen, Germany, on February the 3rd.
Cool.
We've rehearsed. We've gone through the songs. We're going to do it again in Arizona in December. We're getting ready to do our thing, sewing up, suiting up, and work. So I'm just going to do what I do, and hopefully everything works out. Will it happen? I'm not sure. We both don't know. None of us know, but we're getting ready to start. whenever that is.
Exactly. And music is getting made and creativity is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly you're writing. Now, with this writing that you've been doing, do you foresee that being something beyond your current gig, as it were? I mean, is there more Glenn Hughes solo material, or what do you foresee happening?
There is a solo. I'm still a Glenn Hughes solo artist as well.
Of course,
Dead Daisies, and so I'm always going to have both, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at some point, I'll go back to do what is the right thing for me to do. Right now, the Dead Daisies is my vehicle, and I love the guys. We're having such a great time. And
great bunch of guys.
Thank you. The record is coming January. It's a great record. Mm-hmm. We spent a lot of time getting it right. You know, I wrote a lot of songs, and we got together, and you know, it's you know, I brought all this stuff in. I know Doug. I don't know the other guys very well, so I came in with all my stuff, and you know, we sat down and we're going, okay, well, what's all this then? You know, so we sort of you know, I didn't write for myself. I wrote what I considered to be the next thing for the Dead Daisies. So you've heard a couple of songs. It's definitely got that. It's classic rock, and you know, it's got the groove there. So. Yeah,
I mean, it's interesting too, because when you step into an organization like that already has a thing, it's already up and working. It's kind of you kind of, okay, where do I fit in with all this? Because clearly you're brought in as the vocalist and the bass player again.
Yeah.
So it's like you walk in with your bass and your voice, and you have to kind of look around and go, oh, it's these guys now. It's Doug. It's Dean. What a talented cast of characters though.
It's incredible. I mean.
Yeah.
You know, I joined the band kind of secretively over a year and a half ago, and
right.
I went to New York and did some things, and we went to Sunset Sound in LA and did some secret stuff, and one of them's called Righteous Days. You probably heard that one.
Yeah. It's amazing.
You know, and you know, again, I write all the time, and they wanted me to come in and write and sing, and. You know, they really wanted me to do this. John had left and Marco had left, and they were asking me if I'd come down and give it a go.
Sure.
And at that time, I'd just done 3-year tour of Glenn Hughes performs classic Deep Purple live.
Right. Yes.
And I needed a break from that. So, you know, it was great, by the way. We went everywhere.
That was another great band.
It was great. I mean, and when this came into view, I sat down. I gotta be working with guys I can have breakfast with. I've got to have that brotherhood. I gotta have that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can't. It doesn't. Nothing comes. I gotta be friends with everyone.
Of course. Yeah.
Like I know you're the same kind of man.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, you realize that when you're, you know, everybody thinks that everything's like the movie Help. You know, where the Beatles come out of that house. There's 4 different doors to the same house, and you're like. And then, you know, the Beatles broke up. I mean, it's the nature of, you know, you have to, I've always said the guy who gets the gig is a guy who's a good dude to hang out with over the very talented asshole. You know, there's talented assholes and there's like guys who are really great who just happen to be wonderful people. And those guys will always get the gig, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of laughter. You know, I've got to have laughter in my life. I know you.
Absolutely.
I've got to have laughter in my life. And there's a lot of laughter. I kind of bring the laughter with me. So, but Dino is so fucking funny, man.
Isn't he great?
God, he's funny.
Talented as all get out too.
I mean, we sing great together. I can say that to you. I mean, you know, he's got that voice, and I've got that voice, and
yeah.
Again, we're all, you know, the guys I've chosen to work with, or they've chosen me, if you will. We just like to work.
Sure.
You know, I think
that's a big part of it too. Yeah.
They travel on that jet, and they go everywhere, and I can't wait to get going. We gotta be. Although we spoke about this tour that's coming, and everything's like, you know, a UK run in April. I mean, I don't know. I mean, are we getting? Look, Todd, I know you're doing the same. You're getting ready.
Yeah.
We're all getting ready to light the blue touch paper. And
absolutely. And it drops. The record comes out in January.
January the 22nd.
Will there be like music videos and all that kind of stuff that the kids do? Yeah, that's exciting.
They've done an animated video. We just kind of done some stuff last 2 weeks ago in Burbank. This will be sort of looped into some other things like animation and
cool.
We haven't done what I consider to be the old school videos of the lip syncing with girls and stuff. Never gonna happen.
It's always girls and fire. There was always fire.
Never gonna happen.
No.
You know, I wish none of us have to do those videos. I mean, it just doesn't work for me. I just like singing live.
Absolutely.
I'm a live singer. I mean,
you know who else hates doing those? Slash hates doing.
I know.
People always go like, how come you guys don't make music videos? I go, Slash hates the idea of lip syncing and all that kind of stuff. He just hates it. If we could record like a live music video and put it out as the video, I think he'd be happy to do that. Yeah. It's a different animal, isn't it? It's almost like that market doesn't really exist anymore either. But I mean, we promote the videos online, I guess.
And I think, Todd, this 9 months or 8 months of what we've been going through, it's going to really determine a lot of people's genres now when we come out. As you say, every band I know that is getting ready for 2022, everybody's canceling what they were 2021. We haven't done that. With respect, I'm just waiting to hear what is going on. Of course, we got people buying tickets everywhere. So if you're listening or watching Todd's show here, I hope to see you soon. Yeah, I'm ready for you.
No, I think it's really interesting keeping an eye on you guys, because I think it'll be, like, as much as everybody's very tentative to do what they're doing, as soon as you guys are doing what you're doing, they're going to be like, well, the Dead Daisies are doing it. We should go jump in on that as well. Everybody's desperate to go play. Everybody's desperate to go make music. And the celebration of playing live music with people is the whole thing. It's like, you can play as many live streams as you want, but it's weird just playing to the camera and having no reaction.
The whole live stream thing, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. I'm just a live entertaining singer.
You always have been.
That's, for fun and for free. I just get paid to travel.
I know. We all say that. I'll do the music part for free. It's all the other stuff you gotta pay me for.
Seriously, it really is. It doesn't mean nothing to me. Just I gotta be able to sing.
Absolutely.
And it's coming.
It is.
It's coming.
One way or another, it is. Yeah. Well, I'm so excited we got to hang out like this, and I can't wait to be able to hang out in person someday.
I know.
Whenever the hell that happens, I'll be in California soon.
Now listen, I want everybody to know that I met Todd at Vegas Rock Awards, where Todd.
I can't believe you remember this.
Ago, well,
it's a while ago.
The thing was, it came to me a couple of years ago. Hang on a minute, Todd played with me that night, Frankie, for Kevin, and
that's right. Yeah.
Of course, I remember that, and you were so sweet and kind, and you came to my room. I had that Vegas throat going on.
You were in the Elvis suite at the Hilton.
I was in the Elvis suite. And,
yeah.
And you were so great that night. And it was such a great night. And I've known you, but I haven't seen you since the tour we did in the UK.
I know. The weird thing about that Vegas show is it was one of the first things I did after having eye surgery. I sat out an entire Slash run because of a detached retina, and so I was home for 6 weeks or something like that, dealing with all that. And I think the first thing I ended up playing was that show, and it was sort of like, hey, do you want to it's like, Glenn's going to get up and sing, I think, Mental Health and whatever for Kevin, because Kevin had just passed away, and I was like, of course, are you kidding me? And I was like, I'm pretty good at being cool when inside I'm going like, wow, this is amazing, this is happening.
Come on. You were so cool,
It's honestly getting to talk to you is, I was just telling somebody the other day, I said, we're playing with California Breed at the O2 in London. The whole thing is like a thing. We're at the O2 in London. I'm like, wow.
Huge.
And I'm walking down the hallway, and you walk towards me. Oh, this is Julian. And I'm like, this is Julian Lennon I'm shaking hands with. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I was like, I had to walk away. And I'm trying to be cool inside and not be like, first of all, I thought Julian's records were amazing. I was a massive fan of his stuff.
Incredible.
And afterwards, I had that moment of like, I should have said something to him. You always have those moments, but I always forget. I don't forget, but I always, I'm always nice to be reminded how much, how far your reach is, all over the planet, in England and in America. You have so much support and so much love, and you always will. You always will.
I'm so glad to be part of this beautiful planet we live on.
I know, right? Well, I'm happy to be a part of it. As long as you're here, I'll stick around.
Yeah, Todd, you're such a great. I really, you're a good man, Todd.
Thank you,
everybody.
brother. Thank you.
You've been doing this with Todd for a while. It's an honor to be here with you.
Oh, I
and to all
appreciate
your
that.
lovely fans, all the people who watch the show, I love all of you, wherever you may be.
They're all over the planet. I'm coming to California next week. I'm going to knock on your door, and I'm never going to
Come
leave.
on, come on, no, come on. Let's get together.
Okay, man. I love you.
I love you too, Todd.
Say, pass some love on to those boys and the rest of the family.
I will, and give my love to everybody. Hey, Shane Gallus, man, come on.
I know, yeah, he's the man. I just talked to him a minute ago.
Come on.
He's the
Shane
best.
Gallus.
Yeah, he's a monster. Yeah, he's the best.
Yes, he is.
Awesome, brother. Take care.
Thank you, Todd. Thank
Big
you
love.
so much.
Yeah.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Peace and love. Bye-bye.
Peace and love.